The NBA playoffs. The objective is simple. Win 4 games, beat your opponent, move on to the next round. Win 4 more games, move on to the next round, go against the next opponent, and you do that till you get to the NBA Finals, in which you just got to win 4 more games, beat your opponent, and then you are crowned champions of the entire league. And for every single player, coach, GM, that is the goal that they walk into every season with. The objective is to train, grind, get into the playoffs, and walk out as champions. And then as fans, the playoffs is the most exciting time of the NBA season. We get to see some of the best players, the best teams go at it in a 7-game series, and then they move on tournament style to the next round, You get a lot of legendary moments. The teams are better, the elevation of competition, everything about it is great. And I love the NBA playoffs. But I do think that in terms of basketball discourse, media, and just fandom, there's a little bit of a problem in terms of how we look at it. And I want to talk about that today. But before I get into that, I just want to let y'all know today is my birthday. I'm celebrating today. So if y'all could go ahead, number 1, just like the video. That'll be a nice gift from me. Number 2, subscribe if you haven't already. But also in the comments, go ahead and write down there a happy birthday. Shout me out. It would mean a lot. It only happens once a year, so if y'all could do this for me just once a year, that would be cool. But go ahead and drop a happy birthday. It would mean a lot to me, and I appreciate it. But back into the video. Talking about the NBA playoffs. I think while I've said before that the NBA playoffs are the most important time of the year and the play does elevate and the competition does elevate, there's a little bit of an issue in terms of how a lot of fans and media approach the playoffs when it comes to how it affects players based on if they win or lose. And in this video, it's more so about how we talk about players when they lose in the playoffs. I think there's a lot of overreaction and a lot of overrating players when it comes to what happens, what the outcome is in the playoffs. Not even if they win the title, if they just happen to lose or play well. Like I said in the beginning, I understand there is a level of elevation in play, elevation of competition, that yes, you take into account the playoffs are weighed a bit heavier than the regular season. The regular season is very long. You don't play great teams every single night. It's exhausting. Some players sit, some players don't. You may not get everybody's best effort. So the regular season is more of a grind. The playoffs, everybody's locked in. You're more so getting everybody's best every single night. And I acknowledge that and I appreciate that. But what I don't think that needs to be happening in basketball media is that when we talk about the playoffs, how it completely just solos the regular season. Like those 82 games did happen. Now, yes, there are ebbs and flows in terms of the effort that was given, but I think there's a lot of just erasing the regular season and strictly looking to the playoffs. And in particular, what I've been seeing this postseason are players like Giannis, KD, Embiid, Tatum. A lot of people in media and fans are so quick to turn on them if they don't perform well enough, or let's just say if they don't win. Because if you look at somebody like Giannis, for example, when Giannis lost in the first round to the Miami Heat, understood. There was a back contusion he had after game 1, missed games 2, missed games 3, came out in game 4, had a 26-point triple-double on ridiculous efficiency, and then the game 5, where I believe he was a hair under 40 points, had around 18 rebounds, sensational efficiency, didn't shoot great from the free throw line, but played phenomenal for a player who was going through what he went through with the back contusion. And then because he loses, or rather, let me just say, not just because he lost, the style in which he lost the game because he passed the ball to his teammate because he didn't want to shoot free throws, which, let's be honest, y'all, that was the smart play. I understand that Giannis is the best player, but being the best player is also being aware of the moment in the situation. Middleton hadn't missed a single free throw the entire game. Giannis was shooting terrible from the free throw line. In a close game, it makes sense for him to pass the ball to his teammate to give his teammate best chance to win. But beyond that, once he loses the game to the 8th-seeded Miami Heat, who are a very good team, but 8th seed nonetheless, people turn on Giannis and say, how can he be the best player? He didn't shoot the last shot. You lost to an 8th seed. And I get all that. In the moment, it looks bad. But that does not erase what we saw Giannis Antetokounmpo do the entire season prior to the playoffs. those games did count. Those games did happen. Giannis did make first team All-NBA. Giannis did have a historic season where it was him and Wilt Chamberlain as the only two players to average 30 points a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, shooting X amount efficiency. I believe it was over 55% from the field. Giannis is still the best player in the game. I understand that in the playoffs, he played great. He was phenomenal. It wasn't even a playoff drop. It's just the fact that he lost, and that's why people are getting on him. Going on someone like Kevin Durant. He joined a team in Phoenix, and Kevin Durant played well in the playoffs, but it was not great. But the moment he loses to the Nuggets, people start saying, oh, Kevin Durant's not really a superstar. We got to stop putting him in certain conversations he doesn't belong in. And it's crazy because I've never seen a player get overrated, then underrated, back and forth as quickly as Kevin Durant. Because in the regular season, people were saying Kevin Durant was the best player in the league. Kevin Durant's unstoppable. Kevin Durant's better than everybody. And then he goes to the playoffs and he loses. And now we're saying Kevin Durant doesn't belong in certain situations. How does it go that quick, up and down, up and down? We saw the body of work. But now because it wasn't mind-blowing in the playoffs, he gets a rank down. Joel Embiid is another example. Embiid, yes, had a rough playoffs. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He was MVP. Before his injury, he wasn't playing great. After his injury, he wasn't playing great. But to go as far as to say Joel Embiid is not a superstar, which is just a mind-numbingly stupid take, because how is someone who was literally the MVP, put up monster numbers, dominated game in and game out, we all saw it, and yes, he struggled in the playoffs. He did have the meniscus issue, but even prior to that, he was not sensational. But how is it that we can go and look at Joel Embiid, dub him a superstar, which he's been a superstar, and all of a sudden, one playoff series, he doesn't play well, and all of a sudden, he's no longer a superstar? Jason Tatum, another example, struggled a bit in the playoffs. Game 7 that happened this past weekend, scores 51 points, and now everybody's back on the Jason Tatum bandwagon. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. I understand that the playoffs are important. I understand the playoffs carry weight. But we got to look at this realistically. We're talking about, if the player stays healthy, a minimum of 4, a maximum of 28 game sample size. It is a very, very small sample size of basketball in which we are looking at compared to the regular season. And we can't just act like the regular season is just buns, because it's not. Because prior to last year with that Eastern Conference Finals MVP and Western Conference Finals MVP, which, if I'm being candid, is a stupid. I don't like those awards. I think they're dumb. I don't know why the NBA did that. But prior to that, the only thing you can get out of the playoffs is a championship and a Finals MVP, which is, like I said in the beginning of the video, is the goal, is incredibly important. I'm not downplaying that. But the regular season does matter, because in the regular season, we get MVP, all NBA selections, all first team defense selections, scoring titles, assist titles, all-star game selections, rebound leaders, steals leaders, every single thing that goes into making a Hall of Fame resume minus a championship comes from the regular season. There are plenty of players who have not made the finals, who have not won in the finals, who went on to have Hall of Fame careers. And again, I'm not saying the playoffs and the finals do not matter, but what we can't do is continually have overreactions and too quick to judge based on 1 year in the postseason and act as if that just washes away every single thing the player did prior to that. I'm a big believer in consistency. If you consistently show me in the regular season and in the postseason that you are great, then you are a great player. But what we cannot do is have someone like Giannis, have someone like Embiid, who has consistently shown us, Kevin Durant, who has consistently shown us they are great, and should they have a low light for 1 year, now all of a sudden they get their greatness card revoked. That's ridiculous. There has to be a level of consistency, and that's what we as basketball fans and media have to do. And to an extent, I understand media has to media, television, they have to have titles, they have to have things to talk about, that to be engaging. And then people on social media, it's easy to open Twitter, fire off a tweet based on emotion and keep going. But we can demand excellence. We can choose to be better. So while the playoffs are important, while the playoffs matter, let's stop overrating them a little bit and appreciate the consistent greatness that players give us. Until next time, I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Peace.